That's why I'm going to talk about hope this morning. We will explore listening to the voice of hope in an otherwise hopeless situation, recognizing that anything and everything is possible. On October 1st and 2nd of this week, we will unite in consciousness with our Jewish siblings as they celebrate Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur is a 25-hour time of fasting and deep prayer. It is also known as the Day of Atonement and is the holiest day of on the Jewish calendar. And it marks the conclusion of the high holy days in the traditions of Judaism. We are an inclusive and embracive global organization, and so we connect with and unite in consciousness with all of our siblings in all of their celebrations. Atonement, hope, and love are the guiding lights of our spiritual journey. Rabbi Noah Weinberg offers this message of love for Yom Kippur and beyond. The entire world is God's message of love to us. Yom Kippur is the time when we most open to receive this message of God's love. From the Teachings of Science of Mind, Ernest Holmes offers us this in the Science of Mind textbook on page 247. If it were not for the divine hope in us, our experiences would be more than the human mind could digest. If it were not for the divine hope in us, our experiences would be more than the human mind could digest. Typically, when we hear the word hope, I know this has been my experience, hope is seen as wishing for something that is not yet seen, something that is good that is going to happen to us. In the Teachings of Science of Mind, hope is understood as a bridge to the initial opening of consciousness towards greater possibility. We talk about greater possibilities. We talk about infinite possibilities. We talk about intentions. Hope is the gentle whisper of spirit, reminding us that even in uncertainty, the greater good is waiting to unfold. It is a core principle that empowers our spiritual journey. It is a spark that transforms despair into expectancy. Rooted in our connection to the divine, hope becomes a dynamic force, aligning our thoughts with universal abundance and possibility. And I want to share with you something that I learned recently, and that is this idea, this concept of the science of hope. And it's actually a science. There's research evidence of this. Psychologist C.R. Snyder, who lived from 1944 to 2006, was a pioneer in the field of positive psychology research. His research focused on the concepts of hope and forgiveness, exploring the impact of hope on various aspects of life, including health, child development, spirituality, and work, suggesting that hope has a profound effect on both our mental and physical health. Research shows that people with high hope are usually more resilient, better at problem solving, and generally feel happier than those with less hope. Hope inspires us to believe in the limitless creative power of the universe, offering many paths to our goals. And we've talked throughout our time together about goals and intentions. And it's never too late to reach a goal. You know, we always have the opportunity to start again, to start over, to begin again, to begin again. Dr. Snyder's research model has two main parts to it: agency and pathways. Agency is having the motivation and the confidence to start and persist in working towards our goals. The confidence to start and persist in working towards our goals. It is a deeply rooted belief in our ability to create and shape our reality through the power of thought and intention. Cultivating agency involves building self-confidence, reinforcing the mindset of I have the power to influence my income. I do have the powers to influence my income. My notes say I have the powers to influence my outcomes. And my outcome generates my income. Let's say that together. I have the power to influence my outcomes. I have the power to influence my outcomes. And to effect this change requires that we stay motivated and resilient, thereby enhancing our sense of hope. So there's not a lot of doing, but there's a lot of being that is involved in developing our agency. And that is a confidence to start and persist in working towards our goals and our visions and our dreams. The other part of Dr. Schneider's research is pathways. Pathways involve finding ways to research our goals by recognizing and using the endless possibilities available to us through our connection with the divine mind. Pathways enable us to find alternative methods for overcoming obstacles, realizing that there are often multiple ways to achieve our goals, even when facing setbacks. And quite often when we face a setback or we face that little bump in the road or we come across a detour, if we're not mindful of the divine that is encouraging us and driving us and supporting us and moving forward, we could easily become discouraged or give up or say, oh no, this is not for me, this is not worth pursuing. Creating pathways requires imagination, adaptability, and openness to trying new methods. And this is what we encourage through the teachings of Science of Mind and through the teaching and the resources that are available to us. We embrace our awareness of the endless potential and we remain hopeful. When agency and pathways unite and collaborate, they help us to overcome obstacles, adapt to changes, and stay moving forward, making hope a strong predictor of success and well-being. Cultivating a hope mindset. And this is where our practices and those things that develop the agency and the pathways that we have identified, as we cultivate this hope mindset, we recognize that it is more than just a positive emotion. It is a vital resource that we can develop through practice, enabling us to face life changes and hopefully have a positive or proactive reaction. We face our life challenges and we have a positive mindset and a proactive mindset. We affirm our ability to co-create our reality with the divine. And so some practical steps that are involved in cultivating this hope mindset. First of all is spiritual mind treatment. Spiritual mind treatment is our daily prayer technology. And it reminds us that the desired outcomes are already realized in divine mind. And for those of you who may be new to the teachings of Science of Mind, when I say spiritual mind treatment or affirmative prayer, it is a prayer not of petition, it is a prayer of affirmation that says, whatever it is that I desire, I know it is already available to me right here and right now. And so I'm activating within myself, I'm activating my connection with the divine in stating and declaring what it is that I'm choosing to experience in my life. I give thanks knowing that it is already done, and I release my request. I make a demand on the law, and I release my request into the law, knowing that it is activated in and propelled into action by love. And therefore, I realize the demonstration. And the demonstration may not always show up as we have imagined it, and yet the demonstration is already there. And the way we teach this concept to our youth in our junior church settings is that it's the seed, the soil, and the plant. So I have an apple seed. I plant that into fertile soil, and I provide the nutrients for the soil and everything that is required for this apple seed to germinate and grow. And then once the apple seed is fully developed out of sight, if you will, then we see the plant that begins to grow, and then the tree grows, and then the blossoms, and then the apples, the delicious apples that we enjoy. So this is a brief introduction to spiritual mind treatment. Our next practice includes our affirmations. Affirmations are positive statements, positive I am statements, as we declared earlier. I have the power to influence my outcomes. That is an example of an affirmation. Affirmations reinforce our ability to achieve our goals and to overcome challenges. Consistent practice, and this is the key in all of this, a consistent practice conditions our mind to focus on success and positively, and it builds a hopeful mindset and strengthens our resolve to pursue our dreams. The next practice is that of visioning. Visioning helps us to connect with the divine idea so that our dreams come true, engaging all of our senses and feeling a joy of creation. This mental practice enhances our confidence and motivation, making our goals seem available. And so again, just a brief recap or a brief description of visioning. We begin by going within and asking, what is divine mind? What is God? What is spirits? Whatever term it is that you use to connect with the higher power. What is its highest vision for whatever the goal is that we have in mind that we're treating for? And then we listen inwardly for our divine intuition to reveal to us what spirit's highest idea is. And sometimes those ideas show up as a sound. They may show up as a symbol. They may show up as an image, as a color, or it may show up as a silence. And it's all okay because it's all working. And then the next step we ask is, what must I embrace? What must I be or become? Again, being. What must I be or become to embody the vision? And again, we listen within. So the focus is always inward, listening to our inner guidance. And then we ask, what must I release? You know, there's an expression we use that the universe abhors a vacuum. And in order for something new to come in, something old has to move away. And so we ask now, what is complete? What is complete in my life that I can release and let go of to create the space for this new idea to emerge? And again, our work is inner work, our interior work. And then we ask, what gifts do I bring to the vision? And this is where we go within again and listen for what it is that we are bringing. What is it within me? You know, what are my core values, if you will? You know, is my value love? Is my value peace? Is my value joy? Is my value compassion? Is my value service? You know, so what gift do I bring to this vision, to this opportunity that I am looking forward to? And then the final question that we ask in the visioning process is there anything else that I am to know in this moment? Because sometimes the human mind focuses on more the outcome that we may be visioning for. And so asking, is there anything else that I am to know, brings us again back to that inner guidance that is saying, in this moment, this is what is your next step, if you will. And again, sometimes there's silence. And the beauty of visioning is that it just doesn't stop with the time that is set aside for visioning. It continues to unfold as we listen to the indwelling spirit. Our next practice is mindfulness. And I think we're all familiar with the idea of mindfulness. Mindfulness helps us to stay present and connected to our inner guidance. Meditation and mindful awareness help quiet the mind, allowing us to tune into that still small voice within. And this practice fosters clarity and calm, enabling us to maintain a powerful perspective even in challenging times. And then the next practice, and not necessarily the final practice, but the next one that I will offer this morning is self-compassion. And sometimes I think this might be our beginning and our ending practice, the self-compassion. And that is being kind and giving grace to ourselves, especially during rough times. Recognizing setbacks and failures are inherent to being human and using them as opportunities for growth. And I think this is the key to all of this, is to recognize that setbacks and so-called failures are a part of our growth. And we are to be encouraged by those setbacks and failures because they become our teaching points, our stepstones along the path. We recognize that, okay, this didn't quite work, so what is an alternative approach? How may I redo this again? And I think of Edison with creating the light bulb, or with the Wright brothers who created the airplanes and other inventions. If you look at inventors, you may ask them, how many times did you fail, or so-called fail, before you finally reached the final product, before you reached something that was useful and marketable and worthy? So in the area of self-compassion, again, be kind and give yourself grace. Affirming our worth and our ability to learn from every experience helps build a hopeful and resilient mindset. And so wrapping this up and bringing it to our mission possible, incorporating a spiritual practice of atonement, hope, and love into our daily routines helps us build resilience. We develop the inner strength to face life's challenges with grace and determination. We see the mission possible as a powerful force for transformation in our lives and in our communities. Individually, together, and as a community committed to spiritual growth and collective well-being, we embody hope as a powerful transformative force. Embracing hope through our thoughts, words, and actions, we inspire others and generate a ripple effect of positivity and resilience within our communities and within our world. I had the opportunity of participating in I guess it would be a pilot. That might be the best way to describe it. Our School of Spiritual Leadership, through Centers for Spiritual Living, through the education department, is developing new classes and new curriculum for us to be able to use in our centers. And the pilot that we were introduced to yesterday was on values. And it's going to be rolled out within the next couple of weeks, or maybe, I think November is the goal of having it rolled out. And I'm going to bring it to the center and invite us to participate in this. But in setting values, it talked a lot about self-compassion and mindfulness and allowing ourselves grace. And to really go within and determine what is valuable for us. The first exercise we did in that process was to list 10 values, 10 things that we would describe as values. And then we were to go back and delete 5 of those so that the remaining 5 became our top priorities. And so there was a lot of conversation and dialogue around that. And several of the participants said, I chose not to delete anything because all of these are priorities. But what they did was found where there were similarities and began to combine those together. So it wasn't releasing anything, it was actually enhancing what was already there. So I was really excited about that, and I'm looking forward to bringing it to our center. We envision a world where hope isn't just a concept, but a lived experience, where each person's potential is realized and collective dreams are achieved. And I invite us now to say our affirmation for the week together. And we'll say it twice. I have the power to influence my outcomes. Anything is possible. I have the power to influence my incomes. Anything is possible. And I truly do believe that. And I know it from my own experiences. I invite us now to turn within as we pray together, knowing that in this moment, there is only love. That love that heals, that love that reveals, and that love that enhances our possibility of knowing that there is something within that is greater than I am, and yet I am a part of that which is. I am a part of this one life. I'm a part of this one power. I'm a part of this one presence. And being a part of does not make me separated from. I am included with. I am included with all that there is in this marvelous life. And so I declare this morning and speak my word for hope, knowing that hope prevails in all of the circumstances that we find ourselves with. That I am guided by hope. I am supported by love. I am guided by this divine inner intelligence that lets me know all is well. Everything is unfolding for my highest and best good. And as I know and affirm and declare this truth for myself, I know it and affirm it and declare it for all people in all places. We're all on this journey of awakening. And even though it may seem that we're traveling separate paths, there are points where our paths will intersect. And it is at those intersection points that we revel in the joy of our oneness, recognizing that all paths lead to the one source. No path is greater and no path is lesser. All paths are equal in the mind of divine intelligence. And so as I go through the daily experiences of life, as I reflect on what it is that I have set as a goal to achieve for myself, I engage in those spiritual practices that align me with the goal and that reveal to me the source and resources that are required for me to reach my desired goal, to reach my divine destiny. Knowing that everything is absolutely unfolding in divine right and perfect order. And there is no time and space and spirit. Everything that is required is revealed to me at the very moment that I can accept it in consciousness and move forward in the direction that I am being guided. I am pulled by vision rather than pushed by pain. And the vision is one of inspiration. It is one of joy. It is one of celebration. It is one of love. It is one of peace. It is one that says, I am that I am. I speak my word this morning for those who are experiencing physical illness in their body temple, declaring that in those moments where there is pain, where there is discomfort, that underneath that pain, underneath that discomfort is the joy of being alive in spirit. Not denying the pain, not denying the discomfort, working together with whatever resources are available and accessible to provide relief for the pain and the discomfort, knowing that joy comes in the morning, as the expression goes. I speak my word for those who are experiencing transitions in life. Perhaps a transition of a loved one who has released the physical body and has joined the non-local, eternal reality that life continues. Life has no beginning, it has no ending. This is just one chapter in the entire book of life. that has now been completed, and the individual, that loved one, has moved on to the next chapter in their life. And the same with transitions in other areas of our lives. Transitions for right employment, transitions for right livelihood, transitions for right housing, transitions for choices that I can make that are in alignment with my values and are alignment with the indwelling Spirit. For I know that God says yes, the Spirit says yes to every prayer that is uttered. Every prayer that is uttered, the answer is yes and amen. And so as I celebrate life, as I celebrate the mission possible, I know that I am guided and guarded and protected by Spirit. And so for this and so much more, I am truly grateful. Releasing this word into the law, knowing it is propelled into action by love, I see the demonstration being manifested here and now. And if anything that I have said resonates with you in any way, please affirm it with me as we say together, and so it is, and so it is. And now it is time for us to share our abundance, to participate in the circulation and the flow of giving. And we have an affirmation of abundance that I invite us to say together. I recognize the presence of God within as the source of my abundance. Out of my abundance consciousness flows everything I could desire in life. With gratitude and thanksgiving, I now participate in the flow of uninterrupted abundance. This prosperous experience is evidence of my abundance consciousness. And the ways that you can donate to the center on our screen, and our greeter will pass the basket here in the center. And as my meditation teacher says, I give everywhere I go, even if it's only a smile. And so give a smile to the collection basket as it is passing by, knowing that whatever we give is returned to us, multiplied, pressed down, and running over. And so we are grateful for this. And I also want to let you know that all of your donations to the center are tax deductible to the extent that is allowed by the law. And so we invite you to join us next week on October 5th as we begin our October series. And our series will be Glow Up, not Grow Up. We're going to glow up. We're going to recognize that the mission is possible, and now we're glowing and we're lifting our awareness into that. Continually evolving and remaining open at the top. And our topic for next week will be the ultimate glow up, about listening to the voice of hope, whether it whispers or shouts. Anything is possible. And so we say good morning and God bless you to our Facebook and our YouTube communities. We love you, we appreciate you, and we thank God for you.